It's time to rebuild your inner world. If you find you are easily overwhelmed by the external world, you get triggered, you disassociate, then keep watching. So what is the inner world? It is the unsupervised you. Before you became aware of how the world perceived you, you only existed within your own private world inside of you. In your inner world, your imagination thrived. You ran off curiosity and figuring things out for yourself. You utilized the inner world as your secret universe, the you inverse, to decipher operations outside of yourself. Then, as you became more influenced by the outer world around you, you began fumbling, reaching out, searching for the right answers. When the rift occurred, whether it happened as a child or becoming an adult, it all of a sudden became hell on earth to go inside of yourself instead of the oasis from which you used to be able to create reality from. The feeling, the space, the creative force within you used to feel so vast and limitless, and now you'd most likely define it differently. Maybe envision it as a place you don't enjoy visiting often or building new ideas within. You've let it become barren and left it with a poor foundation. However, as you will begin to learn, even if your inner world becomes inhospitable, it is the only true home you will ever really have. As the author Robert Greene states, you can either be externally oriented or internally oriented. One is powerful, the other is incredibly weak, and it will destroy you. It will break you apart if you're externally oriented. You're always focused on what other people think of you and their expectations of you. If you're always focused on others' opinions, you have no space to develop your own confidence. You're continually bouncing back and forth between the opinions of other people. It will kill you, it will destroy you, it will mess with your mind. The inner world is your internal compass of control. It's where you can sense you begin and others end. This ruler allows you to recognize what sets you off and how you can judge if a reaction is about you or them. By searching externally for the answers or form of self-regulation, you will never know peace. You become a ticking time bomb waiting to go off. You become unnecessarily triggered by stimuli, which causes you to emotionally spiral out of control. If you do not fortify your inner world and make it your place of refuge, it will become not only an abandoned home within yourself, but a hell on earth for you to experience. When you can, at any moment, find such retreat in yourself, for nowhere can you find a more peaceful and less busy retreat than in your own soul, especially if on close inspection it is filled with ease, which I say is nothing more than being well ordered. Treat yourself often to this retreat and be renewed. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. A well-catered-to inner world can feel like a secret universe once again, a mind palace, a place that is unique to you, the place where you can safely question things, address conflicted thoughts, and ultimately remember who you are anytime you need to. You never lose it. You just may choose to sacrifice it or allow the external world to distort it for you. People choose to sacrifice their playfulness, joyfulness, and wonder. Then they base their happiness on the external reality and become permanently dissatisfied. You simply cannot control the external world. You can't force things to always go your way. You can't expect everyone will agree with you or have the same beliefs or priorities as you, or will even want what is specifically best for you. So, through time and lack of self-awareness, you can turn into a disappointed person that expects the worst and ultimately manifests that for themselves. Kind of like an Eeyore. Speaking of Winnie the Pooh, Dr. Gabor Mate, a renowned addiction expert, spoke in an interview with Tim Ferriss on how this quote, written by the creator of Winnie the Pooh, would move him to tears, but later on become utterly transformational for him. So, they went off together, but wherever they go and whatever happens to them on the way, in that enchanted place on the top of the forest, a little boy and his bear will always be playing. Gabor Mate revealed, "This quote would bring tears to my eyes for decades upon decades until recently when I had a psychedelic experience. Then I realized there is nothing to mourn because I am both the bear and the little boy, and I will always be playing. Nothing is lost." But when I read that book, there was a sense of loss. Playfulness is being lost. Gabor Mate expresses his sense of regret for not playing more, for not savoring that secret world that we all carry within ourselves in his own life. We are now living in a time when we are experiencing the biggest attack on our inner self that there has ever been. Now, more than ever before, we cannot lose our inner world, our compass of how to navigate our subconscious beliefs and where we want to cash in or pay our attention. If you do not have a sacred space within you, you become an easy target for persuasion and manipulation. If you choose to outsource your reactions, to get overwhelmed by the macro that you can't control, and forget the power that you do have access to, you will completely shatter. If instead you were to focus on the micro and start with evolving and building upon yourself, that could extend and ripple outwards to eventually benefit the macro world, like you may have hoped you could in the beginning. It is up to you what you channel from within, which means we need to come back to our imaginations. For so long, I believed that my big imagination was detrimental, just a distraction, a waste of time to daydream. Now I see it as essential. It's what kept me alive and creating better circumstances for myself throughout the years. I recognize it for what it is, in its truest form, and know that it is the closest I could ever get to pure source and the ever-expanding universe that connects us all. We evolved as humans sharing stories of wonder around fires while being humbled by the stars above us. People need to come back to their imaginations. I argue for the importance of an inner world, for fantasy and untainted wonder, because it's the most real thing to us. There is no helping others before ultimately knowing yourself. Tending to the secret garden, the space where you feel safe, is essential. Our evolution is through the utilization of fantasy, so it is necessary. Fantasy, and all fiction is fantasy of one kind or another, is a mirror, a distorting mirror to be sure, and a concealing mirror set at 45 degrees to reality, but it's a mirror nonetheless, which we can use to tell ourselves things we might not otherwise see. Fairy tales, as G.K. Chesterton once said, are more than true. Not because they tell us that dragons exist, but because they tell us that dragons can be defeated. Neil Gaiman, Smoke and Mirrors, Short Fiction and Illusions. It is the missing ingredient to living a truthful existence, by pushing the boundaries of creativity and squeezing every last drop that being awake has to offer. When you return to your inner world, you build a beautiful pocket in the universe that benefits us all. Building the cathedral is still a worthwhile pursuit.